Very good morning to all of you. We are again back with another HR 302, that is business and HR analytics paper of MBA third semester. So today we are going to discuss some basic concepts about HR metrics and HR analytics. So it is a long chapter, long session. So let us start quickly. So HR analytics, why we are doing HR analytics? What is the objective? Okay, we have already had some few sessions earlier about the HR analytics. So now you are probably you are in a position to understand HR analytics is not just a fancy word to be utilized in the HR domain. That is, we are doing analytics like marketing and the finance analytics. It's not like that, right? So HR analytics has a very important role to play in the business. So what is this? What are those roles? So these roles is number one, generating revenue, because this HR analytics can help the organization to generate revenue, minimize the expenses of the organization. Number three, mitigating the risk. And number four is the executing the strategic plan. So you can understand that what are the different type of important business related decisions and the implementations can be done through HR analytics. So actually the outcome of the HR analytics can be related to generating revenue. Number two, minimizing the expenses. Number three, the mitigating the risk and executing the strategic plan. So this point actually indicate how much this HR analytics important is for the organization. Now there are some commonly utilized terms: HR analytics, people analytics, and workforce analytics. Though the terms are very much similar in nature, but there is a subtle differences. So in this slide, we are going to understand the basic difference between HR analytics, people analytics, and workforce analytics. So understand what is HR analytics. Covers the metrics of the HR function such as time to hire and training expenses per employee. It is an example. That means covers the metrics related to HR function. So one of the HR function is recruitment or hiring. So time to hire is a metrics for HR analytics. Training is an activity of HR. So what are the expenses per employee on training is a HR analytics metrics. Next, number two is people analytics. It can be applied to all people. As for example, customer of an organization and its employees. Okay, customer. Say for example, we are a digital marketing company and one of our client is Mongenis. Now the Mongenis, okay, Mongenis employees, I mean Mongenis stores employees are also part of the people analytics. Okay, we are conducting digital marketing campaign, but that is not making a very good results for Mongenis. One of the factor may be the Mongenis store employees are not aware about the digital campaign and they are not able to communicate in at or rather at par with the digital marketing communication, because they are not aware about it. So from this analytics, the decision can be taken. The Mongenis in-store employees should be trained about the digital marketing communication content, that what are being communicated, so that the same can be replicated in the store. Otherwise, that is not going to be implemented or going to be effective, right? So that is called people analytics. So people analytics can be applied to all people. Next one is the workforce analytics. All encompassing term pertaining to the employees. Any employee, it may be an on-site employee, remote employee, gig workers, freelancer, consultant, any type of employee are part of the workforce analytics. Usually we are thinking whenever we are doing an HR analytics or the employee analytics, we generally consider the full-time employees. But in case of this workforce analytics, they are telling any type of people who are associated with us, they are working for us, are part of the workforce analytics. They may be gig worker, they may be on-site employee, they may be remote employee, they may be freelancer, they may be consultant, but that should be considered under the workforce analytics, right? So this is the discussion, that's the thing we have discussed. So that has been explained in this particular slide. You can just go through it. If you are having any query on it, definitely you can get back to me. Next, how does this HR analytics drive business value? We are talking about the HR analytics has been or to be utilized for driving business value. So how this is, helping the business to drive business value. So HR has access to the valuable employee data. How can this data be used to enable the change in the organization? That is a question. There is a great deal of discussion on replicating the consumer experience in the employee experience. Okay, what the consumer want in a particular store, in a particular service environment. Okay, if from the consumer analytics we can identify that, and the same can be replicated in the HR analytics model. I mean, now we need to understand what is to the HR analytics, what is the employee behavior towards the consumer. Right now we can, through the HR analytics, we can understand. Now we'll be analyzing the consumer analytics, that is what the consumer expect. If that can be replicated in the consumer, I mean in the employee training purposes, so they can act accordingly, and that will further increase the consumer satisfaction, customer satisfaction. So that is the idea. So essentially the data on consumer behavior and the mindset can helpful in developing strategies to maximize sales by capitalizing on these factors. Similarly, the data useful for the HR function can be used to improve the employee performance, the employee experience, and in turn maximize the business outcome. So if the employees are happy, if the employees are connected, if the employees are engaged, they will be more productive, and ultimately that will impact the overall consumer satisfaction level, the sales volume. So that is going to affect. So this is how the HR analytics data can derive business value. Next, what are the key metrics, right? What are the major key metrics? So there are a lot of metrics. Probably in our another session, we have already discussed about different metrics. But this is the concept. This is the other some of the metrics. Like say, for example, revenue per employee. That is how much revenue the company is earning per employee. Offer acceptance rate. That means if the company is giving offer to 100 employees, and how many number of people are accepting that offer. So that is called offer acceptance rate. Training efficiency, that is we are providing training, we are spending a lot of money on the training program, whether the training is being effective and the efficient. That means, say for example, our employees are not having very good knowledge in Excel, so we are having some problem in preparing report in Excel. So we have provided training on Excel. Now after the training, is the productivity in the Excel report preparation improved, or till they are facing problem? If the employees are now comfortable in preparing report, that means the training was efficient. If they are not, that means the training is not efficient, right? So that's the idea. Next one is the training expenses per employee. That is a very important point. That is how much money you are spending on the training of the each and every employee. Next one is the involuntary turnover rate. That is those people who are not voluntarily removing, I mean separating from the organization. Maybe some people are terminated, so that is called the involuntary rate. So you can actually identify how many number of people are involuntarily terminated or turnover. Next one is the voluntary, I mean willingly, either by retirement or by resignation, they are moving out of the organization. What is the voluntary turnover rate? Next is the time to hire, that how much time it is required to fulfill a particular vacancy. That is called time to hire. So all these metrics we will be discussing in details definitely. So that is the time to hire. Next one, time to fill. There is a subtle difference between the time to hire and time to fill. Time to hire means the day on which the vacancy has been generated, and the day on which one person have accepted an offer letter and signed the contract. And time to fill means the day on which the vacancy has been generated, that is the day one, and the day in which the person has actually started working, that is the day last day. So that total period is called time to fill. Next one is the absenteeism. That is the absenteeism rate. That is, I mean, people are absent in the work. So what is that rate? How many number of people are regularly becoming absent? So that percentage you can identify. Next one is the human capital risk. I mean, a different kind of risk which is associated with the human resources. So that matrix we have to capture. So that we have already discussed. So these are the commonly tracked by the HR analytics. That is the revenue per employee, offer acceptance rate, training expenses per employee, training efficiency, voluntary turnover rate, involuntary turnover rate, time to fill, time to hire, absenteeism, human capital risk. Now, what does an HR analytics tool need? That means if you want to have a tool for HR analytics, what kind of data you would be requiring? So there are two different kind of data: internal data and the external data. What are the internal data? Employee tenure. right? I mean the duration, how long the people are there in the organization. So from there, you can actually identify the stability of the organization, stability of the employees within the organization. Employee compensation data, it is important. Next one is the performance appraisal data. Reporting structure, I mean the data related to the reporting structure, high value, high potential employee. Next one is the disciplinary action taken against an employee. So all these data you will be requiring, and these are all internal data. Now, what are the external data you will be requiring? External data, that is called company financial data, organization specific data, passive data from the employee, and the historical data. So all this data needs to be collected and fed into the system, so that you can actually derive some information out of it, right? So these data are important if you want to implement an HR analytics systems in your organization. So these data are important. So this data has been divided into internal data and the external data. So these are the, as you have already discussed, what are this internal data and what are the external data. Now, how the HR analytics process work? Okay, so basic simple steps. Number one is the understanding the organizational business goals before analyzing or implementing the this thing. I mean, HR analytics, you need to understand the organizational business goals, what they actually want to achieve, what is their actual objective. Next one is the identifying the metrics to be analyzed to achieve these organizational goals. So your organizational goal is to achieve 30% market share within next 6 months or next 1 year. So you need to understand what are the HR metrics needs to be checked in order to achieve these organizational goals. Collecting the necessary or the relevant data. I mean, in order to how the metrics will be calculated based on the data. So you need to collect the relevant data so that you can measure these metrics. Next one, obtaining insights of the data. I mean, there is a absenteeism rate is high. That is the data that is telling that is absenteeism rate is very high. But why this absenteeism rate is very high? That is called the obtaining the insights into the data. Next one, communicating how this data impact the organization. So simple. I mean, how the this data, say for example, this absenteeism rate can impact the organization that you are going to explain. So that is the overall HR analytics process. So now, what are the features of an HR analytics solution? So a good HR analytics system should be able to answer the key business question, most important business question they should be able to answer. Easy to use by the layman. I mean, the person who is a finance manager or any manager. So they should be able to identify gather the data. I mean, he should not be a very good statistician or something like that in order to generate the data. And that's the thing. But I mean, the system should easy. I mean, user friendly. That's it. User friendly. Next one is that it should be cloud based. It should not be physically. It should not be stored somewhere in the office system. So it should be cloud based. Next one is the process statistical analysis and the machine learning technology, powered with predictive analytics, powered with visualization technology, and the subscription based. So these are the features a ideal HR analytics tool should have. So these are the features that we have already think. So now the final point is whether you should invest in an HR analytics solution. Should you go for HR analytics? So definitely the answer would be yes, because through the HR analytics we will be able to gather a lot of information related to the business insight that is going to help us in analyzing the business and helping us in achieving the business target. So definitely we should invest in the HR analytics solution. So that's all for today about the basics fundamental of the HR analytics and the HR solution. So we'll again get back with some more topic related to the HR analytics. Till then, thank you so much for attending the session.